Good evening and welcome to the round 4 of the Intercontinental Sim Racing Porsche Cup Challenge, coming to you today from the ever-challenging circuit, Belle. Located in the heart of Detroit, this 2.3-mile circuit is known for its close walls and bumpy track surface. Belle Isle is often considered one of the hardest tracks on the iRacing platform. Comprising of 14 corners, 6 to the left and 8 to the right, this track has it all. Slow technical sections which require you to be cautious on the throttle, to high-speed 90-degree corners where getting the right braking technique is vital. And my favourite sections, turn 8, 9 and 10. This triple right-hander is tricky as it is terrifying. Get too far offline and you're heading straight to the scene of the accident. From speaking to the drivers before the race, I know it's been a real struggle in practice to be both quick and consistent. This race will not be run outright on pace today, but it will be who can keep it out of the walls. It's worth a reminder that in this series there isn't a fast repair, so the drivers will need to be extra careful today. If they stack it, they are out. My name is Sebastian Boscher-Williams, and joining me in the commentary box tonight is my very good friend Martin Jacobson. Good evening, Martin. It's very nice to have you back. How much are you looking forward to these races tonight?
Thank you, Seb. I am ecstatic to be here in Detroit, Belle today. A track notorious, especially in iRacing, for its difficulty. It's one of the more difficult tracks we have, but also how fun it is to drive. With the incredible show we had last time around at Red Bull Ring, I can't wait to see what they have in store for us tonight. And Seb, would you kindly tell us what's looking like in the championship at the moment?
Sounds like a very good idea, of course. So Alex Belle goes into this round with a staggering 195-point lead in the championship after winning 3 out of the previous 5 races we've had so far. I'd also like to give a little bit of a shout out to Alex. He's actually shared his setup with the other drivers in the Discord. He's so far ahead that he doesn't even need to be worried about competition. But it's awesome. He even had this whole paragraph about what wing settings to use. So very interesting there. So a huge shout out to Alex. The AM standings though are a lot tighter. Mark Johnson is currently the leader over Sasso Prosen. He leads by 6 points with Evo, our last time race winner, in 3rd. He jumped up to 3rd after, of course, his win in Austria. Will Money is in 4th, just behind Evo. And of course, if you remember from last race, they had that mega battle for basically the entire race. So, it'll be really interesting to see if that continues today. And of course, he might have even potentially won the race in Austria if it hadn't been for his fuel calculations. As we actually have a look at Will Money spinning out a little bit on track, which is probably not ideal, but yeah, let's hope that Will Money has perfected his fuel calculations. But of course, not a fuel limited race today. They can run as much fuel as they like, and it's only 20 minutes. So that won't be a concern. Today it's all about the racing. So we've got 2 sprint races today, 2 20-minute races with a reversed top 10 for the 2nd race. I'm really looking forward to this one, Martin. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be real good. Sadly, not as many drivers as usual, but I think it will bring us even closer and even nicer. And hopefully, with such a tight track, we still see some on-track battles. And I believe in these guys. They have proved to us before that they are really good professional drivers, and so I think we will have a show. We're getting closer and closer to qualifying now. As you said, we saw Will Money there spinning around a little bit, still trying to find the limits around here, which I hope they all settle down and not pushing too hard when we come to the race up.
Oh, is Jago there, and number 18 car brushes the wall on the exit there of turn 3 as he gets so sideways. I'm surprised he managed to save that, but that's the trickiness of Belle Isle. It's so bumpy, and especially in these Porsche Cup cars that do not have any form of traction control or anti-lock braking system. It's a real struggle to get the car to stay where you want it and to be within the limits. He's braking up the hill into turn 7. This is, so as in my intro I was talking about my favorite section. This is it. This sort of triple right-hander, left-hander even, that you sort of just have to you're sort of like to skip the middle corner, and then you've got this sort of bumpy braking zone to the right-hander. I mean, Belle Isle is one of my favorite tracks on the on iRacing, and I'm so thrilled to be watching some Porsche Cup racing. Diego has another contact with the wall and make it a 3rd and a 4th and a 5th contact. That's not necessarily the quickest way around this track tonight.
No, but as we said, it's very tricky, and I think we rather see these guys have these incidents now and then be safe in the race. Just finding these limits right at the end of practice, just knowing exactly where to push, where not to push, and hopefully they just try that just now, and then it's clean for the rest of the night.
I'm with you. Let's hope it's clean. Let's see some good racing. So what's interesting at the moment is that the field spread isn't that big. It's about 2.7 seconds between Alex Gall, who's in the lead, with Eve out that brings up the rear, and P11, of course. But yeah, so the drivers have been pretty vocal in the Discord about not necessarily being that happy with the track selection, and I will take full responsibility of that because I pushed very hard for this track to be on. But it's a super difficult track here, so bumpy. It's going to be a real test of the skills, but of course in this championship we have 2 drop rounds, so your lowest point total from the so I think so Martin, explain drop rounds because I've seemingly forgotten how they work.
Drop rounds, I don't have exactly in my mind what the rules are exactly, but a drop round essentially is your worst round of the season or an amount will be removed. I think we can find this later on, and I'll make sure to correct myself.
Yeah, it's 2 rounds. Sorry,
2 rounds. Yeah. So the 2 rounds you have will be removed, and those will not be calculated for the final results, and therefore they are dropped, so-called drop rounds.
Drop rounds. But of course, if you miss a race or you skip a race, then that counts as one of your drop rounds. So if you do all the races, you've got more chance to eliminate a low points paying position. But if you miss races, then the races that you miss will be dropped. If that makes
exactly. And we all have bad days, we all have good days, but the more races you have, essentially you have a bigger chance of having a really bad day, because if you do less races and let's say you do 5 races, right, and you have 2 bad days, then immediately have those 2 out. But if you do more races, you have more good races, so be able to say to show your worth. So yeah, I think we all know, I think we all get and understand, but it's very common throughout most sports, and I'm happy to see we have it here. As you mentioned, Seb, there have been some vocal people, some vocal drivers about the track selection, but I want us to be on the positive side, and a big thank you to all the drivers you have here and to show their skill, because these drivers out here driving today, they're really showing off their skill at the moment, and big props to them.
Indeed, as we look at Adrian Vanderberg going down the back straight, coming out of turn 2 down to turn 3, you're right. I am big thank you to everybody that's turned out today, and it's a difficult track, and it's not one that you want to, especially driving such a new car, because the Porsche Cup only came out this season for iRacing. Is the practice session is now finished, so we go into our usual qualifying format, which is 2 laps over 8 minutes solo, so no slipstreaming and no anything to do with all of the adventures that we saw at Red Bull Ring, as we just count down to the start of qualifying. Martin, who's your bet for pole position today?
I hate to say it, but Alex Gall looking strong as ever, and I think he will be a strong contender. As we have some technical issues, we will be right back with that as soon as we possibly can. But yes, Seb, I think Alex Gall, he is in strong contention. What about you?
I think he is completely. He's been the class of the field, not only at Detroit, but pretty much everywhere. And the only races that he hasn't won, it's because he's started from 10th, and it's really difficult to make your way back through the field. So as Martin said, we're having a little bit of technical difficulties at the moment, but nothing really going on the track at the moment. Everybody's just coming out on their outlaps. Everybody apart from Jacob Money that's still in the pits at the moment, which is a little bit interesting. He's got enough time, so it's about a 1 minute 30 lap time around here. So you've got 8 minutes to qualify in, so you've got more than enough time to get out in 2 laps. You don't necessarily have to go out first at the moment, so always interesting. So to give you a little bit of an indication of the conditions that these drivers are driving in, at the moment it's about 26 degrees in track temp, which is very low. If you don't know, sort of track temp is the temperature of the track. For iRacing, you want it to be the lower the better. It gives you more grip. The tires take longer to heat up in cooler tires. In iRacing, tend to mean more grip. There's a limit, but that's the basic understanding. And so 26 degrees, which is low. So lots of grip out there, but it's a little bit deceptive because this track rewards patience. And if these drivers feel like they've got a bit too much grip, it's very easy to have quite a silly little accident.
Yeah, and I think most of the people have been trying and just know exactly what you're talking about there. So it's a very, I think what we will see though, because people know how difficult the track is, I think we rather will see some tiptoeing. Maybe now we have one banker lap, as to say, in qualifying, just to make sure they get one lap in, and then more of a push lap. And we'll see. Maybe there start coming some accidents on the second laps. While we're still trying to sort the technical issues here, let's have a look through practice, where we did actually have Alex Gal 129.0, shortly followed by Yannick there in P2, 129.4, so just 0.4 of a second. Just shortly behind that, P3, Diogo with a 29.5, so that is very, very close. Rounding out then, we have David Glass, 130.4. Actually, we have both David, alias Will Money, and Sean Collins, all in the 30s. Then we have Adrian Vandenberg, Steve Kershaw, Jacob Money, and Eva Krausen in the 31s and 32s.
So as we see, Aliyev Pritsov head to the top of the times with a 1 minute 30.5, currently 8/10 ahead of Adrian Vandenberg in P2. But Will Money is a standout lap with a 131.8, but he is currently third. And remember, he's an AM driver, so currently he started third. Currently starting third on the grid for the first race, but of course, lots more drivers to complete their laps. Not really much going on at the moment. I think that we've had a few incidents. I think a few people have spun, as David Glass now goes up to second place, only 0.4 off Alias Pritsov. As Yannick Danish now heads to the top of the time. I correct myself, Alex Gals now head to the top of the times with a 1 minute 30 flat. So he is now 0.3 ahead of Yannick Danish in second place, with Alias Pritsov rounding up the top three, only a 10th off Yannick in P2. We assure you we are working flat out to bring you the images back as possible, as quickly as possible. We've still got about 4 minutes left to go in the qualifying session, though, which is all good. So everybody's done their first lap. Just looking as who jumped up there on the screen. Aliyev Pritsov has completed his second lap now, so he's done a 1 minute 30.2. Sorry, I do apologise. I was looking at the wrong list there. So he's now up to second. So he's completed his qualifying. He can no longer take pole. He's done his laps, but respectable, only at 1.5 tenths off the pole position man Alex Gal at the moment. Just looking to see who's going to cross the line next, who's on the lap at the moment. So Alex Gal's yet to complete a lap. Yannick Danish is also yet to complete a lap. David Glass is just about to complete a lap at the moment. It's going to come across the line in a few seconds. Where is that lap time going to put him? That's going to put him up to third place overall. That's a stunning lap from him. A 1 minute 30.37 is a stunning lap. As Yannick Danish goes to the top of the timesheets with a 1 minute 29.5. He's 5/10 quicker than Alex Gal. Who would have seen that?
Yeah, that is. But as we mentioned, he was just behind Alex Gal in practice there, and just pushing that extra little bit. Actually, quite a bit, 5/10 difference here for pole. So that will be interesting. We have Yannick then in pole, followed by Alex Gal, which we know has proved himself this season. And take us through the rest of the qualifying results, Seb.
Of course. So I think everybody's completed their laps now. So, of course, we were discussing Yannick Danish in pole position. Alex Gal is in second. Aliyev Pritsov is now up to third. David Glass dropped down to fourth, but pole position overall as we have a look at the back marker racing driver eval on his... Actually, he is still completing his final lap, so he could... Actually, no, sorry. He's on lap 3, so he's just getting more practice in, but they will not count for the qualifying position. Sean Collins in 5th, much better than Sebring. He struggled a little bit there, so it's good to see Sean a little bit further up the grid, which is really good. Will Money in 6th, P2 in AM. Adrian Vanderberg is in 7th, 5/10 behind the next car with what lap time did he do? 1 minute 31.3. There's a 1:31.31 according to my timesheets, which is quite a nice number. Evout is in P8 overall. Stephen Kershaw is in 9th. Interestingly, Diogo Alberto and Jacob Money have not qualified, so they will be starting from the back of the grid. And that's a really interesting proposition there. Have they messed up their laps? Have they got like a 1x or a 0x on each of their laps? Or are they actually choosing to start from the back of the grid? What do you think, Martin?
My suspicion is they had some sort of small incident and unable to set laps, because I think the back of the grid, you do not want to be with the race. If you start at the back of the grid, I think you rather want to take it very slow the first few laps and just let the race unfold in front of you. But it's hard to tell. As I was not able to see that. But we're coming closer and closer now to the race, and yeah, Seb, take us through it, because I think we will be able to get this here. So go ahead.
Thank you very much. So, as we were saying, Yannick Danish is in pole position with the stunning lap time of 1 minute 29.528. Alex Gall is in P2 behind him. Alioth Pritstoff is in 3rd. It's an all-pro grid, but the AM driver, David Glass, is in 4th with a stunning result, only 8/10 off his pro driver counterpart, which is a really good lap for him and very good for the championship standings. Sean Collins in 5th. Will Money is in 6th, but of course that's only P2. That is P2 in the standing. So a really good opportunity for Will here to gain some points and close up and maybe even take the lead in AM, as Evout, his closest rival, is in 8th, behind Adrian Vanderberg, who is in the number 29 Rogue Racing car. Diogo Alberto is in P10 and Stephen Kershaw is in P9, so he is in P4 overall in AM, and Jacob Money rounds out the back of the grid. Of course, Diogo and Jacob did not set a lap time, so we are unable. Yeah, so we're not necessarily quite sure if they're true pace yet. As we now look to the grid as they all form up, a bit of an easier grid lineup today. It was a lot easier to say than previous ones when there's been about 20 cars on track. So got to be some benefit.
We've got to really keep our eyes now on Yannick Danish and Alex Gall on the start. The start will be oh so important for them.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Martin. It will be. Of course, Yannick starts a little bit ahead of Alex. That's what the pole sitters is entitled to do, and that's the benefit of setting such a stunning lap. But Alex Gall has got the inside line, so watch for that at the start of the race as the lights now build to 5 lights, and then we'll be underway as Yannick's got an absolutely terrible start. Alex Gall's up into the lead. Yannick Danish is going to be down to 4th by the first corner. David Glass has somehow got up to 2nd, and I think that's Yannick Danish spun. It is. Oh, there's crashes everywhere. That's 2-3 cars off, and one of them was definitely Yannick Danish, our pole sitter. That was Sean Collins as well. And who was that? The 247 car of Stephen Kershaw. It's been disaster for our pole sitter at the moment as we look at board on Jacob Money. David Glass now racing for P2, but Alioth Pritstoff has managed to overtake David Glass. So David Glass is in 3rd, but Will Money is right behind him in 4th. That's David Glass. He's hit the wall. No, that's Alioth Pritstoff, sorry. He's hit the wall. He's got damage. That's major front end damage to the front of that car. Excuse me, I had to take your breath.
That will affect them so much. That really affects the car. With these cars, the smallest of damage will really slow them down. But since the track is so narrow, so hard to overtake, I think we'll see Alias here trying to hold off David Glass as long as possible. Looking at Alex Gall. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
there was a send there from Adrian Vanderberg down the inside of Ewout van Kruijsen. I don't know if that was, I just saw a huge lunge into turn 7 there. What were you saying, Martin, before that?
Yes, Alex Gall, as mentioned, getting off a great start there. And Yannick Danish from P1 dropped all the way down to P9. Not the start he wanted. Worst of all the starters, though, was Sean Collins, who is far behind the rest of the field. I will have to work hard to catch back up. Probably some heavy damage after hitting those walls.
I think that's a really good question of who has got the most damage, because there was a lot of cars going off at the start of the race. As we have a look at Diogo on board the number 18 car with Will Money ahead of him. Will Money just has to step on the brakes as Diogo gets hugely wide. Hugely sideways, sorry, coming out of turn 2 onto the back straight. As you look at the damage to the 101 car, that's quite a lot there. It'd be interesting to see if he's actually got any suspension damage, any steering damage. Can he keep that car straight? Is that wheel straight in a straight line? Because it can be so distracting, but he's currently holding nice and firm as he comes to the corner that he foul of in the opening lap. As we have a little bit of a helicopter shot and we can start to settle down now. David Glass still 6 tenths behind, but that Will Money and Diogo Alberto fight is looking spicy. It's actually, Diogo looks like he's got quite a nice run on Will at the top of the hill. As he has, I think Will's locked up there. Diogo's gone through. I think, is Alias Pritzov is all happening. I think Alias Pritzov had to cut off the throttle there to, he was understeering into the wall there, but Will Money is now dropped down to 5th. Still not a bad position for him. He just needs to realize that his fight today is not with Diogo. It's with David and Evout. Especially Evout as their championship rivals. But I tell you what, Martin, that 101 car does not look fun to drive at the moment.
It does not. You're very right with the heavy right-hand damage there in the front. But he's holding off David Glass very well so far, and I think he will do all he can to keep his position. As you said, they need to remember where their fights are. But races are racers, and in the heat of the battle, it might be not too easy to pick and choose your fights. At the start of the racer as well, though, do you want to give the decision up? Do you want to keep fighting? Yes, he might be waiting some time, but he keeps track positions in front of the guys who's just slightly behind.
That's a very good point, as we see a late lunge down the inside. Who was that? Was that Adrian Vanderberg getting past Will Money? So Will Money chopping down the pack quite quickly at the moment, and he's now actually got his championship rival Ewout van Kroosjen right behind him there. He's got to watch out for that. Of course, these two were going head-to-head at Austria, and they were racing for almost the entire 40 minutes. Of course, Ewout pitted early, Will stayed out. There was that really cool mix of strategies, which we just love to see. Of course, Will unfortunately didn't have enough fuel to finish the race, and he had to make a late pit stop, which kind of curtailed that fight. As we finally see David Glass getting down the inside of Alias Pritzov, I think he might have hit the wall again, because he has got no grip at all. Look how much steering lock you can just see him putting into the steering lock he can put into the car, and he just cannot get that car to turn in. He's lost 2 positions now. He's down to P4. So David Glass is currently P2. He's on for an overall podium at the moment and an victory. What an incredible race. But Diogo is right behind him. He wants that P2 as much as anybody. Of course, he was also fighting for the podium places at Austria until the final lap incident that kind of, again, curtailed the amazing race that we had for P2. But what I just want to highlight is the speed that Alex Gal has got. So his last lap was a 1 minute 29.7. The next quickest driver was a 1 minute 30.4, and that was Diogo. So he's absolutely flying out there at the moment. He hasn't got a care in the world. He's already 6.6 seconds ahead of the pack. This is turning out to be an absolute... it's just a wonder race for Alex Gal.
While the pressure is very much off Alex Gal, the pressure is very much on David Glass for second position here, as the 2 pro drivers are just right behind him now, trying to make a move. We see Diogo trying to make a move up here. He's having a little look, but can't make it stick. And Alias here, with all the damage, still keeping up very well and keeping the pressure on. So the race is not over for him quite just yet, so.
I wonder if he made a mistake then, as we see Evout dropping down the field. I think he might have had a bit of an issue. We'll keep an eye on that. But I think Alias, when we went on board with him, we missed the initial incident why he dropped down. But I wonder if he lit up the rear tires or something, because he's still got pace. He's still keeping tabs on P2 there. It's all to play for at the moment. And of course, if somebody else gets damaged, then he's back in the fight. As Alex Gal sets another fastest lap of a 1 minute 29.6, and yeah, so he's 1.9 seconds quicker. It is Diogo's almost pushing David through the corner. He is so close. He's got to make a move down to the inside now. He's got so much more speed as he just got such a better exit coming out of turn 2 and down the inside into turn 3. Fairly textbook maneuver, and Diogo Alberto is up into P2. David Glass down into P3, but he's got Aliav Pritsov right behind him, wanting to take away that podium position from him. As we just have another look at the damage on that Porsche car. It's always a sad sight to see a car that's got that much damage, and especially when you're only 6 minutes into a 20-minute race.
Yeah, but I think David Glass are really just thinking about his move. This is not his race. I think he is not fighting too hard for the position because he knows, I don't need to fight these guys. I just need to hold my position against the guys behind. And it's quicker for everyone, and it's safer for everyone not fighting too hard. But looking back at Yannick Danish, who started P1, he's making his way through the field, and he's also very quick. A 134 last time around, with the all in front of him except Alex Gall in P1 did 31s. So I think we will see Yannick fighting his way further and further way up the field as the race continues on.
Oh, we certainly know he's got the pace, as Alex Gall sets another fastest lap. He's almost doing Yannick's pole time. He's absolutely flying out there at the moment. Diogo Alberto now does a 1 minute 30 flat. So only about 4 tenths off the leader. So getting up to pace for Diogo after getting past David Glass on the previous lap. So I think the race is starting to settle down now. Martin made a very good point that Yannick is currently catching the pack at the moment, and he can be a real threat for a podium here. We know he's got the pace as we actually have a look on board with that car. We haven't seen much of that yet. And he was involved in that first corner incident, and I think he's got a little bit of damage to the rear wing there, but I don't think that'll be affecting him too much. Actually, that looks like a little bit more substantial. Yeah, he's got a little bit of damage to the front left of his splitter, which will be affecting performance. And what will not be helping is the fact that he's in a little bit of the dirty air of Will Money at the moment, who's dropped down the field. As we actually have a look at the start, and let's see what happened. So Yannick just got a poor start and just lost it all by himself, and he collected Sean Collins. That's so unlucky. I think that what happened?
Yannick spinning off his own device there. Maybe he just felt the pressure a little bit too much in the start, Seb.
I wonder if he got too much wheel spin and he just heated up the rear tyres too much. We know how sensitive the iRacing tyre model can be to heat, and if you spin them up too much at the start, you can really do some damage to them. So he's got to be careful, because in iRacing it does work like real life, that if you take too much out of the tyres in the first few laps, it will really hurt you towards the end of your stint. And although it's only a 20-minute race, there's still a lot of grip that you're expecting from these tyres. So watch out for Yannick in the closing stages and see if he can continue his pace. But his charge has been somewhat slow as he's behind Will Money, but he's making a fairly easy pass.
Is he having a look here? Will he let him go? Will Money, yeah, definitely lets Yannick go there. And as we said before, he knows it's not his fight. Yannick there having plenty of looks before he just decided to make the move. But the pressure is still on David Glass here on the podium by Alias Pristov, and I think Alias really want to get the move done. But easier said than done. It's a narrow track. Alias with some damage on his right front. David has scraped the ball a few times, but I think with that car just in much better shape, it will be hard for Alias.
Detroit is known for its difficulty in overtaking, and when you've got a car that undoubtedly will be down and a little bit of top end speed at the very least. As you see, it's actually struggling to ride the bumps there for Alias, as he just saw that he just can't quite get the nose in just as well as David can. David's car does look, at least grip wise, just that little bit better, but Alias, I tell you what, is able to get much better exits at the moment. And if he can just stay behind David goes wide, that's going to be surely a massive opportunity for Alias to get P3 as they now head round turn 14 onto the start to finish straight to start lap 8 of their race. But David manages to hold on as they now head through, to be honest, to the best overtaking spot on this track, down into turn 3, and Alias is looking quick as ever. Adrian Vandenberg just watching in the background, just saying, yeah, fight a little bit more, guys. I'd love to catch you up a little bit more and maybe pass both of you if that's okay. As Yannick Danish now catches up behind him. They've got fairly similar liveries there in terms of their design, which is always nice to see. I am a fan of the racing stripe, especially in yellow. So
Well, let me tell you what, do not count out Yannick Danish yet, because if these guys make a few mistakes, as someone screams the wall there, makes a few mistakes, or just, you know, a move that does not stick, and Yannick, he will take every opportunity. He knows where he started, and I think he's doing everything he can to get as close as possible back to that front step.
Again, super right there, Martin. You've been right all day, but Yannick Danish is a huge contender for a podium. And let's not forget that his chances aren't over, because there'll be a reverse grid race, and if he's shown that he can overtake, and if we reverse the positions at the moment, he would start P6. He has a really good chance.
There's an incident! And that is, who is that?
Adrian Vandenberg, he's spun. The number 29 Porsche is round. I didn't see if he got a little bit of a helping hand, or if he just is a very good commentator. Martin Brundle would say ambition over adhesion there. We'll
I was unable to see that as well. But let me tell you, both Aljaz and Yannick very happy about that. Because they have got some through, but it seems like Yannick has lost some time as well up to Aljaz now, or were they not close before? I can't really remember.
I think
but Yannick being released there, he will be. Ooh, as they go side by side. Ooh, that's an opportunistic move on the outside by Aljaz.
They're gonna touch. They've touched. They have touched, and somehow Aljaz is still managed to hold P3, but he's now got damage to both sides of his car. Maybe he's going for the whole percussive mechanic of fixing it by hitting it again. But
and do you know who's that helped? That helps Yannick. Look how close he is now. Yannick eyeing the podium.
It was, I mean, we'll have to look at it again, but it's very brave from Aljaz to be going around the outside of turn 4 there. But David Glass really sent it on the inside there. Of course, there are stewards in this series, not live stewards, but they do get together. There's a meeting after the race where people where they will discuss the events of the race and can apply any penalties. So the race results aren't final until the until they are officially released in the Discord. So anything that you see today is, of course, always subject to change. But you're right, Yannick Danish looking a very short contender, only 5/10 behind David Glass, who I'm sure must have a little bit of damage as he goes. It gets very loose there. David out of turn 13 into turn 14, or I mean, it's basically a straight, but technically it's a corner. So we can actually have a really good look at Yannick's damage there. So a little bit of rear wing damage, but a little bit of splitter damage too. You'd say more splitter damage, and that will be affecting his turn in there. So I tell you what, he's got a mega run on David Glass at the moment, but he doesn't feel brave enough to try and do the move that Aljaz did. And to be honest, I don't blame him. I don't think I'd be anywhere near as brave as Aljaz was to stick it around the outside of this corner.
Because that was, say, is it bravery, or as you said, a little bit too much ambition? Let me tell you who's not got any damage. Not to his driving, not to his car, nor to his confidence. Alex Gall, now more than 10 seconds in front of the field.
He's cruising. He could stop for a cup of tea. I tell you what, maybe we should ask him to. He could get us one as well.
Yeah, I could definitely scrap tea, but look at Yannick now. Is once again the battle for P3 far from over. And do you think we will get just look how close they are? And I think Yannick, he just want to get past David Glass here. Glass, an AM driver, and I think Yannick might be a little bit annoyed, you know, saying get this amateur driver, the AM driver, out of the way. But I mean, big props to David Glass. He's having a stunning race so far.
He is. Oh, Yannick Danish has crashed. That surely got to be him out. He just went too deep into the tournament. He's definitely got. I think his car is crabbing. Yeah, look, you can see it weaving about on the straight. It's just as we're talking about his chances of getting the podium. It's all fallen away again. And at the very least, he's got to do it all over again. At the very worst, he's got a very damaged car. That's such disappointment for Yannick. Our pole sitter from the start of the race, he almost hits the wall again coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, just pushing a bit too hard there. I think he so badly wanted to get those positions that he was just pushing a little bit too hard, and he simply ran out of room. As
Will Money locks up, goes down the escape road. Luckily, it was there. No damage done for him. Yannick does manage to get past him. Only 3 seconds off David. We'll keep an eye on the lap times, but that's a very sorry looking car right now. It's had 3 major impacts with the wall. I'm surprised that he's still driving that.
Yeah, and I hope we can get a clean lap from him here, because I'm very interested to see, because he's been one of the fastest drivers on track. I'm questioning if he will be that after that bait crash right into the wall. looking back though, I mean, it's settled down now. After that, it's settled down. But for the AM drivers in 8th, 9th, and 10th position, respectively, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I think we shouldn't count the race out quite just yet, because they're still within just a few seconds from each other.
Undoubtedly. Sorry for not coming back in, Martin. I was having a drink. This race is crazy enough that I'm already starting to lose my voice already. So we have a look at Jacob Money having quite a quiet race, a little bit quieter than his brother Will.
But let me tell you what, he sees those two guys in the rearview mirrors. It's far from over. He can definitely see them, and they can see him.
They can.
There's still 3 minutes to go, and as we've seen, things can happen very quickly around here in Belle.
They can. I tell you what, who was lucky? David Glass, because Yannick really got in deep to that corner, and it could have been so easy for him just to take David out as well. So David's lucky that he wasn't involved in that, and he can head down and push, because 4th is still a really good position overall. As we have a look at Alex Gal, who is just simply excelling. I started off my my notes for this race earlier, and all I could say was about Alex Gal is that he's just simply excelled at every race, and again he's proving why he is so quick. He can not only take the lead of a race, he can not only keep the lead of a race, but he can extend the lead, he can push, he can play with the limit of the car, and yet he can just does not make a mistake. He's probably got the cleanest car out of the field, because he hasn't seen anybody for most of it as he goes into turn 14. As we have a look at Adrian Vandenberg, who of course he spun early. We didn't manage to see what caused that spin, whether he was just a little bit ambitious on the throttle, or somebody gave him a little bit of a nudge to help him in his quest to see what was going on behind him. But he is looking at Will Money now.
These drivers really got to have a good think, because as he goes into the same wall as Yannick Danish did there at turn 12, I believe it is. I was just gonna say he has to have a think, because they're not in the same class. It's an AM driver and a pro driver. And he wanted to take the position, just went a little bit too deep. Same corner as Yannick Danish.
You know what I've noticed is that the AM drivers have kept it out of the wall a lot more than the pro drivers have, because if you think about Yannick Danish has had an incident, we've had Sean Collins in the wall, and Adrian Vandenberg, clearly, who's just had another little bit of an excursion. But the AM drivers
with a broken front as well.
Yeah, it's insane. So well done to the AM drivers, who, in theory, and I you would think that they would be a little bit more accident prone, but they are proving that wrong. And I'm really, really glad to see that there's some really nice consistency going on in the AM class. And you have to say that currently my driver of the day is David Glass. He's done a stunning job up in P4. Lost the podium, but he's picked his battles well, and he just is some great points, and he will take the overall victory at the moment. As we start the final lap of the race, Alex Gal he's so far ahead that we're not even in the same bloody county as
who was that with a little bit of incident as well? That is Adrian Vandenberg, I think it was, with a
he's completely crabbing. He stopped at the side of the road, so more disaster for him. So he had to out of the race. And what's even worse for him is that he is now going to finish outside of the top 10, which means that he will start P11. There is no reverse grid for P11, so he will start from there. So Sean Collins at the moment is currently on route for the reverse grid pole. As we actually have a look at the replay, he did what I said. He's just got too wide out, a little bit into the marbles. So what he's trying to do is he's tried to cut in a little bit too much, but he's taken too much speed. Actually, he has. Is he going to hit the wall on exit? He is. He's just lost it.
He's just lost it. And then he probably gets hit from behind as well, just slightly there as well.
That's such a shame for Adrian Vandenberg. Was that his first spin?
Yeah, and as I want to point it out now, we have coming up to the end of the race, Alex Gal. I do believe here.
Yeah, I think he's just about to cross the line. It was a really good spot, Martin. I think he's just crossed the line to win the race 1 of round 4 of the ISRPC Championship, keeping up his 100% win rate at every round so far.
And in the second position, we have Diogo splendid race by Diogo. He kept it clean most of the time and finishing P2.
As in Alias Britstoff, who made that quite simply stunning move around the outside of David Glass. So, of course, all of these results are subject to stewards' discretion, whether anybody feels that they need a penalty for any egregious driving, as Yannick Danish comes across in P5, Will Money in 6th, Jacob Money in P7, Stephen Kershaw in 8th, Ewout van Kruijsen in the Backmarker Racing gold car is coming up just behind his just ahead of his pro teammate Sean Collins, who will be a reverse grid pole sitter, and that's talking about sad cars. That's a very sad car there. But that was a really enjoyable race. Unfortunately, an accident at the start that took away some of our favourites for the race. Took out our pole sitter, or our pole sitter took out himself, unfortunately, which is always just that little bit worse, because you just feel like, you could have done more. It's not like somebody else took you out, and you can sort of play it off in your mind that it's not your fault. But unfortunately, I think we'll have to agree that one was on Yannick there.
Definitely. And for the first race, of course, big preliminary, I should say, but it's looking very strong. Big congratulations to both Alex Gall and David Glass. And are we excited for the second race of the day?
I'm ecstatic for the second race. We've got the two Backmarker Racing drivers on pole and in P2, and we're not biased at all on that.
Absolutely no bias.
If you don't know that me and Martin are part of the same endurance racing team that happens to be Backmarker Racing. So, but of course at ISR TV we do remain to be impartial, and we just like to see good racing. And I tell you what, that was some really bloody good racing, and I cannot wait to see some more. But hopefully, clean the turn one. Hopefully that people have learned that maybe it's better to not get such a great launch as we saw with Yannick. I think just dumping the clutch a little bit too much there. So it's such an art, these cars, and in iRacing that they don't tend to simulate the clutch model that much, but with the Porsche cars they do. And actually, if you can burn out the clutch and then you just cannot move. So it seems trivial watching that you just like, what, you just accelerate, but to get a good start, it's very, very difficult in these cars, as we see Heat 1 results. Alex Gall, of course, taking full points with a gap of 15 seconds. I think that's almost as much as his gap from Austria, and that was a 40-minute race. That's an insane gap. I mean, you can't. I don't have the words to describe how good Alex Gall has been this season so far.
I want to point out the VRS satellite. He had some very nice VRS logos on the car as well. So very good branding for VRS, and I suspect that's the setup he shared as well throughout the week, isn't it?
So maybe he wasn't being kind. He's just like he's getting people hooked on VRS setups. While if anybody's using them, then I know they're quicker then.
Yes, please take us through the rest of the results.
So, Gioco Alberto is in P2, and Britstoff rounds up our podium. It's a shame that we don't get podiums, because it would be really good to talk to the top three, because that was a stunning race from all of them. David Glass, my driver of the day, or at least race one, coming home in P4 after this stunning drive, defensive driving, and really smart driving from him. But he takes the AM victory for round one, which is huge in the points. Will Money finishes ahead of Ewout van Kruijsen by quite some margin, which is good for him in P6 for his championship chances.
Sorry, there we have Will Money followed by Jacob Money, and then
brothers who race together, and they finish. I think they won their split in the Sebring 12 Hours this year. So congratulations to them. They clearly do know how to race, and they are showing it in this league. We missed out Yannick Danish, P5, our pole sitter, who unfortunately fell down the grid after the opening corner kerfuffle, we shall call it, and had a few more incidents during the race. So some work to do in race two. He will start P5 in race two as well, which means that he's got a good chance for some good results, and he will be ahead. He will be ahead of the his championship, the race winner Alex Gall. Martin, can you just take us through the rest of the grid?
I will. As you said, Yannick Danish, followed by Will and Jacob Money, as I mentioned, in 6th and 7th, respectively 2nd and 3rd in the AM. Followed by the AM drivers of Steven Kirkshaw and Evert Van Koosjen in 8th and 9th. And rounding up the field, we have in number 10 position, Sean Collins, and in 11th position, who we saw retiring at the end of the race, Einar van den Berg.
And of course, so Sean Collins will be our reverse grid pole sitter. As I don't think I can necessarily share you all of what Yannick has just said in the iRacing game chat, but he says, sorry for the incident at turn 1 there. Thank you very much for keeping it somewhat family friendly. I think for next race, we will need a few bleeper buttons if we have an ET radio, as tensions always run high, especially around this track, as it's so stressful, as we see Will Money making the best of the warm-up at the moment. Got a little bit of a lull in the action, about 5 minutes until the end of the warm-up finishes, and I always find it's an interesting dynamic between, who prefers to be, as the car dropped off there and I thought mine did, but is who prefers to go out there and keep that sort of like, keep them in the zone and keep that eye into the track, or as he hits the wall there, so not necessarily keeping his eye on as much as he'd like, or do you prefer just stepping back a bit, having a drink, just cooling down? So I always find it really interesting to know like what people do to keep them in that zone. Do they need to rest? Do they need to just keep on at it? As Will Money locks up into T7 at the moment, so struggling just a little bit, but.
Yeah, and as you're talking about that, I mean, that's very interesting that you mentioned. It's not just on our small ISRC. This is throughout the whole racing world. I mean, we can, as we have an example here, we have examples from Formula One this year, red flags, and some drivers stayed in the car, some drivers went to rest in their huts. So, as you said, very interesting. And I think everyone is different. We all work different. Personally, I would want to pull a few laps just to make sure I keep the heat up and keep the focus up. So I think maybe Yannick want to go out and then try to do a few test starts here in the warm-up.
I think that's a very good point. It's actually, I haven't seen many practice starts. In the first race, we were having loads of people that were doing practice starts. So interesting to see if people are going to be doing practice starts or not. So always an interesting dynamic here. I do love these little sessions that you can just cool down from the first race and take stock and build yourself up to the excitement of race 2.
Yeah, and I'm very excited. I mean, we did more than I thought, had some side-by-side, and very, very, very interesting. The pressure was on throughout the race. I think we will see the same, if not more. Now, people are even more used to the track. They're even more used to racing next to each other. And for some, I think the hunger is even bigger. Looking at Yannick, I think he's starting P5, and I think he will be so very hungry to climb his way quickly. He knows he got a bit slower drivers in front of him, but I think he will try to make the opportunity. Alex Gal will be interesting to see what he can do. As we mentioned several times, very narrow track, difficult to overtake, but we did see overtakes. And I wonder how much Alex Gal will be able to fight his way back up as well in the next race.
Undoubtedly, as we count down the hours, kind of the minutes even, until the start of race 2. I'm losing my voice a little bit. I haven't recovered from Red Bull Ring, it's fair to say.
I think it's just that you were so ecstatic, Seb. I love personally how ecstatic you get, and I do as well. I'm trying to get the word in here and there, but
I have been told that I talk too much, so this is the perfect job for me. Sorry, I'm trying to sort out a few issues in the background as we've. It's been a day of technical issues, unfortunately, here, but.
And as we only have so far Will Money putting laps in from. Here in the warm-up, so I wonder, is it a warmed-up or a cool-down? Did people get so warm during the race they have to just sit down, relax, cool down a little bit, think through, what am I doing in the next race? What did I do wrong? Did I fight with someone I necessarily didn't have to and end up in, we always do that a few times? Or just relaxing, thinking, okay, this is my starting procedure. I have to be nice and calm and easy. I don't want to spin. You know, I would be so curious to see what's going through their minds at this very moment.
I like the idea of people having a sort of like a debrief, like a race debrief like going through their races and seeing what they can do better for race 2. It's such a unique opportunity that you get to, like in these cars, to be able to reset and just go again. So very interesting point there, Martin.
And it's definitely, at least for me, I know I do it between races, or when there's endurance race, I know I sit and usually I talk through with you guys and my teammates and said, okay, this was last stint, maybe not push so hard there in this corner, you can do this and this better. So I think a few people from the last race have a few things to talk about as we're coming to the end of the warm-up for race 2 now.
And we about to head into race 2 as I just take a little bit of a cough sweet to hopefully save my voice as much as I can. As we, right, let's go through the grid. So, Sean Collins is our pole sitter for Backmarker Racing. He starts on pole, of course, being involved in that incident on the last race. Ewout van Kroijsen is in P2, followed by Stephen Kershaw in P3, Jacob Money in P4. The top 3 in side by side with each other, so it'll be interesting into turn 1. Actually, side by side, because Will Money's in 5th. I didn't see him down there, so a really big fight there in. Yannick Danish is in 6th. David Glass is in 7th. Alioth Pritsoff is in P8. Diogo Alberto is in P9. And Alex Gal, our race winner, is in 10th. And Adrian van der Berg is in 11th after unfortunately retiring from the first race. But because it's such a short grid here, you've got a lot of opportunities to make up here as we look to the lights for one last time at Detroit. And let's see who's going to get the best start as the lights are out, and it's a pretty even start up front. I think Sean Collins has just got a little bit of the better start, but Diogo has got a rocket start at the moment. I think he's made up a few positions, but it's a perfect start for Sean Collins.
Horrendous start from Alex Glass as well. He did not get off the line. He dropped that immediately there.
He did, as they all get through the first 2 corners very cleanly at the moment as we head down to turn 3 for the first time. 2 by 2 by 2. I think in the background is Alex Gal is making a little bit of a move down the inside at the moment, and that's the 247 car around the outside of Alioth Pritsoff there. 247 car of Stephen Kershaw, of course. So that's a really good start from him. And Alex Gal is down the inside. He's up to P8. I think I might have even said he had a poor start. I tell you what, not at the moment. He's up to P8, so he's made up 2 positions. David Glass, you're right, had a shocking start. He's now down to P11 and last.
And as well as that, Will Money also. Both Will Money, David Glass, they're dropping 4 positions in the start, so they will not be too happy about that.
They will not be as we head up the main straight into turn 7, all even under braking at the moment. Stephen Kershaw coming under pressure from not 1, not 2, but not 3, but 4 pro drivers behind him. That's quite a precarious place to be in, but he's currently still 3rd in the third in AM overall and 5th overall. But Sean Collins leads the way as we head round, as we almost finish lap 1 of the second race here at Detroit. But Ewout van Kroijsen is right behind him. Jacob Money is right behind Ewout, and Yannick Danish is not that far off. As Alioth Pritsoff gets a little bit sideways coming out of that corner. Actually, I think he's hit the wall twice there. That's going to give a good opportunity to Diogo in the number 18 car to come through on the inside. It's pretty risky through here. It's all flat. These cars don't have too much downforce, but can Diogo make the move down the inside? He can, but Alex Gal fancies a look at Alioth too. He might be able to go around the outside of turn 2. Unfortunately, he doesn't get it. Oh, that's Alioth. He's in the wall. He's hit the wall. So he is... Again, so Alex
same damage as we saw on the last race there. That is incredible. Other than that, big props to what a clean start we had that first lap. A lot side by side. You see Alex just cutting the corner a little bit. Big right damage on the right hand front, just before, and he cuts through up right in front of Will Money there. Very close, but make it clean.
We need to ask him, how does he manage to drive these damaged cars so well? Because that's like the 3rd time that I think that he'll be out of the race. We actually saw a change for the overall lead. Ewout van Kroijsen has now overtaken Sean. Overall race lead at the moment. Jacob Money close behind, though. Be interesting to see, but heartbreak for Alioth Pritsoff again, who for the second race today has got damage as we see Adrian van der Berg. Oh no, he's locked up! He's just gone straight into the tyre barrier, and he's unfortunately, I think he might have given up on the race today, which is sad to see, but understandable considering how difficult this track has treated him. It's It's a track that you either love or hate, and I feel a few drivers after today might not necessarily be loving it.
As the pressure is on Jacob Money now for third position by Yannick Danish here. So Yannick, as we saw, is very hungry, and I think he will do all he can to get up onto the podium this time around. And look just how much closer he gets through that braking, and I think he will really pushing here now. We saw him pushing a little bit too hard in race 1, but so far so clean. Having a little look here on the inside of Jacob Money into turn 3. Will he make the move stick? Yes, it looks like it. Very nice move there by Yannick.
I tell you, I think Alex Gal has actually made a double overtake there. He's now up to P5. He is in very strong contention to win this race, Alex Gal. He could do the double. He could win both race 1 and 2 at the moment. He's only a couple of seconds off the race lead at the moment, and we saw his pace in race 1, so watch out for him. But that was a very good move from Alex Gal.
Do not discount Yannick there. Yannick, as long as he keeps his clean, has also been very quick. Hopefully we might be able to see a nice battle between these two, because I think Yannick, he's taking himself back a little bit. He relaxed a bit throughout the warm-up, and he's now looking stronger than ever.
Yeah, I for one would love to see a battle between Yannick and Alex. We were a little bit robbed of that in race 1 with the poor start from Yannick, and then the kerfuffle at turn 1. So it'd be interesting to see these two race and see who has got the more pace and who's got the better defensive skills. So
Alias, we mentioned, drove with the damage, and we wondered how he did that. Well, he didn't. Alias appears have also retired now from the race, sadly.
Sad to see. So 9 cars running in the race. Hopefully we'll have more next race. But as we look at Alex Gal and the body language of the car is probably not the right term, but it feels like he just can be so aggressive with the car, but yet get so much speed out as he's now looking at a move on Jacob Money. Jacob Money very obviously just lets him by there. It's not his race as Alex Gal is up into 4, directly behind Yannick Danish now. We saw Max Verstappen versus Lewis Hamilton at COTA last weekend. Now we're going to be seeing Yannick Danish versus Alex Gal, and I for one cannot wait. Diogo Alberto, he wants in on this little battle for third at the moment. He wants to get past Jacob Money as quick as possible, and I'll tell you what, he's so close to the back of that car that I really think he might be able to do it coming up the hill into turn 6 or 7 depending on turn 7. So
here, yeah.
Thank you very much.
While we're watching this, I want to give a big props to Ewout van Koysen, who's out in the lead still. So an AM car still leading, keeping his cool and almost building a little gap to Sean Collins in P2.
Wouldn't it be great to see a NAM car win overall? I would love to see it. And I tell you what, who Ewout needs to give a very big needs to buy a beer for.
As now Diogo makes the move on Jacob Money there in the background, and he just makes that stick, goes a little bit wide and hits the wall. Will that damage his overtake, or will he be able to keep the position?
He's got the position, but he's got a little bit of damage now on that right side, that left side of the car even. Interesting to see that people are just struggling to keep it out of the wall. But what I was saying is that Ewout needs to buy Sean a beer, because Sean's currently keeping Yannick, Alex, and soon to be Diogo behind him. Is actually Sean gets very loose coming out of turn 2 as they get down.
Yannick having a look here.
It's going to be an easy overtake, and Alex Gal might also think about capitalizing as well as we head into turn 3 at the moment. Yannick Danish is now up to P2. Sean Collins, will he have a look into turn 4? He will not. So Ewout van Koysen probably will rescind that beer for sure now, because he didn't keep him behind necessarily long enough, and Ewout's got all the work to do now if he wants to keep this this overall victory. As Ewout actually goes too deep into turn 6 at the moment. This is a prime opportunity for Yannick now. What will Ewout do? He's going to go to the extreme inside to defend from the corner. Yannick's going to take the outside line. Who's going to break later? It's actually going to be Yannick Danish. He's going to be able to go around all
behind. Oh, there's contact.
There's contact in the background. So Diogo is now past Alex Gal. No, I take it back. Alex Gal's managed to keep it. Somehow they've all managed to stay to keep the same position, but
and it's all kicking out there now. Look at that is Sean, I believe, right? No, yeah, Sean Collins, number 3. He's keeping them all behind, but he's very wiggly, and it looks like he does not have the car fully under control. It's sliding a little bit. Alex Gal putting the pressure, and let me tell you, Alex Gal want to get past as quickly as possible now. But it's not as easy. They have Diogo right behind as well, and any small mistake, and these guys behind will capitalize on it.
We saw Diogo trying to make a very opportunistic move into turn 8 on the last lap. As I think I had a little bit of contact. I thought that Alex and Sean had a little bit of contact, but I think Alex Scal has got a much better exit than Sean Collins, and I think Diogo might even also get past Sean here. Sean's been struggling through these corners, but it also looks like he's got a little bit of damage on that car. So
Sean not defending too much, letting Alex through almost. Maybe he thought that is the wiser decision not to waste too much time. As now, Alex will do all he can fight coming up to Danish. But look at that, Sean now. He's now on pressure behind from Diogo. And will you think he'll be able to keep him behind? Oh, as he hits the wall there, Sean.
I don't think he will, because you're right, he's hit the wall. That's a rear right suspension hit the wall there. That's quite a nasty hit, a nasty angle for the suspension there. As Diogo now goes up the inside into turn 7. It's a fairly simple move from here. He just needs to brake just that little bit later. He brakes much later. Can he get the car slow down to the apex? Yes, he can. And can he ever? That's a really nice move. So our battle for the... As Sean looks up
He avoids the ball so nicely there. So Sean not enjoying his car too much, especially with the damage, but very well done to keep it out of the wall. Now the battle for P1. We have Ewout, the AM driver, still out in the lead, but closely followed by both Yannick Danish and Alex Gal, two very, very quick drivers. So.
You know what? I think that if you're going to want to, if Alex wants to win this race, he probably needs to get past Yannick while he's behind Ewout, because if one can make a break for it, the other one's won. Is actually, I tell you what, Alex Gal is looking very feisty behind Yannick Danish at the moment as they come into turn 1. Alex Gal's got just a little bit of a better run through 1. Can he translate that to 2? Yes, he can. Yannick Danish actually gets a shocking exit coming out of turn 2 at the moment. So they are now side by side as they head down the straight. It's actually going to be 3 wide. Ewout somehow manages to keep the lead at the moment. Alex Gal is going to try and go around all the way around the outside. He's actually still side by side with Ewout. Can he make his stick? No, Ewout just breaks that a little bit later.
Look at Yannick now having the look.
Out of the wall, he does. Sorry, yeah, you're right. Yannick Danish was having a look back at Alex. I thought he was going to hit the wall there, but Alex Gal must be listening to the commentary because he's now up to P2. He has capitalised on Yannick Danish, so it's now our race winner in P2. I think he might be able to do the double, but Yannick Danish
simply stunning move there by Alex.
That was, but Yannick Danish is going to want to make sure that he can get the win. As he actually goes for a very late lunge on Alex, there's going to be contact if they're not careful. He's hopped across the curb at the moment. That's going to give Diogo Alberto an opportunity. They're going to make contact. I think they just about managed to not make that stunning. And now Diogo Alberto is now up to P3. Yannick Danish has lost 2 positions in the space of a lap. And Jacob Money is right there as well.
But again, big props, Ewout Van Croce. He's just keeping the lead. He's keeping them all behind, and he's making it oh so interesting for us. Now, Yannick, he's looking hungry, and he's gonna want to. Oh, there's some slight contact there between David Glass and Will Money.
I think that was also with Stephen Kershaw as well. So I think that was a bit of a kerfuffle. So unlucky for him. But let's have a look at this battle. The top 6 or all within a second of the car in front. This is an amazing battle. Alex Gal again on Ewout Van Croce. Can Ewout defend? Looks like he can. Doesn't even need to defend.
As we're also having a look behind them, look at Yannick, who's having a look at Diogo there. Just want to get past. And let me tell you, this will not be over until it's over. I think this four-way battle for the lead, as long as Ewout can stay in front, we will be on the edge of our seats.
We will be. And I tell you what's even better news is we've still got 8.5 minutes of this race to go as we look back on board from Ewout as we look back towards Alex Gal, who is ever closing as we head to turn 7. Just backs it off, but he can't back off too much because he's got Diogo right behind him and Yannick right behind him too. As Alex Gal could just break that, he can break so late on the brakes, but if he runs into the back of Ewout, it could be bad for him as he actually goes a little bit wide there. Maybe that's his line. We'll have to, if we can have a look, because that looked just a little bit wide for me. He actually manages to get a really nice exit out of... Oh, and that's Jacob Money. Jacob Money's lost it. That's disaster for him. He was in such a good position at the moment as he's going to somehow... Oh, he's found reverse. He's going to get going again, but that's disappointment for him. But
all the way to the back and a lot of time lost.
And I think that's Sean Collins pulling into the pits. He is admitted defeat for the damage on his car as we look at the car coming into the pits. Let's ride on board with this lead battle again. P1, P2, P3, P4, separated by pretty much nothing as we head down into turn 3. Evout defends the inside. Can Alex go all around the outside? He tries, but I think Evout's going to show him the door he can, and I tell you who's going to capitalize on this. Diogo, he's going to go up the inside into turn 4. If he can make this stick, it'll be an opportunistic move to say the least, and they're still side by side into turn 5 at the moment, and Yannick Danish is now getting into the battle with this. All the while that these three are squabbling, Evout's just he's just rubbing his hands together going, thank you very much. It's actually, but I tell you what, Evout got a really poor exit coming out of turn 6 at the moment, but all of this squabbling I think just saved him. I think he's going to be able to keep the lead. He's going to go to the inside. He's going to defend into turn 7 at the moment, and all positions stay the same. I keep on saying that, and I can't believe that I'm saying that. There's so much drama, and yet it's still Evout in P1, Alex Gal in 2nd, Diogo Alberto in 3rd, and Yannick Danish in 4th. It's anybody's game of who can win this, and we still got 6.5 minutes of this to go.
And let me tell you, I think they're all just having that extra thought in their mind. Rather safe than sorry, and they don't want to crash. It's better to finish in P2 than not finish at all, or better to finish in P4 than not finish at all. But I think within the next few laps here, we'll see Alex trying to make a move on Evout with a masterclass in defensive driving at the moment.
Undoubtedly, he actually now has to defend into turn 1 as we look at Yannick's view as Diogo actually kicks up some of the grass and Alex left the door open, and that could have been so easy for Diogo just to stick his nose where it probably shouldn't have been, and it can be disaster. So Evout again defending to the inside.
Will Alex have a line of look on the outside? Do you think he's trying to switch back? Will he make that move? No, because Evout is just defending so very well, and that's so impressive by the AM driver, just holding these pro drivers behind for lap after lap after lap.
I just want to point out, so rating not always the be all and end all of skill, but Evout van Krooijsen is currently 2.1k. Alex Gal, 7k. It's a stunning drive from Evout at the moment as he defends to the inside of 7. Can he make it stick? Alex looks just that little bit more alongside him at the moment, but Evout surely can just hold on. We're going on the inside, but they're still side by side coming out of the corner. Actually, I lie, they're not. Evout still in the lead. This is a stunning drive, and Diogo now is going to have another look at Alex Gal. It's simply stunning. We're talking about Alex Gal's race 1 being stunning.
As Yannick's making a move, and Yannick's making a move, will he be able to make it stick? He gets the inside line for into the next corner here.
But Diogo's got such a better overspeed. Sorry to cut in. They've touched Martin.
But it's still racing just the slightest of nudge. Yannick, who does hold 3rd position here, coming out to the next lap on. And Alex Gal again wanting to have a look on Evout. Evout just keeping that position, and Evout just making this race so interesting still.
Crucially for Alex though, sorry to cut in there, Yannick has dropped back a little bit, so Alex can afford to be a little bit more aggressive in this move because he won't immediately lose the position. I think Alex Gal is actually going to manage to go around the outside. No, he almost hits the tyre wall. Evout's still ahead. Yannick Danish is going to take 2nd. They go side by side into turn 4.
And I was just about to say that Alex really needs to think about his overtaking moves, because if he goes in the wrong corner, he will lose the time. The guys behind will capitalize. So sometimes it's better to just stick behind and wait, because if you go for a move and you don't make it, someone will come and capitalize off you.
As we head into turn 7, Alex Gal looking down the inside. Evout doesn't feel the need to defend, and you have to say was a wise choice. As he's locked up, he's gone deep. He's back down to P4. That's disastrous for Alex Gal. With 3.5 minutes to go in this race, he is down to 4th, almost 5th. What a disaster for him, and what luck for Evout van Krooijsen. He's managed to hold 1 off for so many laps with such intense pressure.
That's Diogo.
That's another one, and Wild Money in the background's also spun. What has happened on this lap? That's 3 drivers off.
Diogo really keeping it back on track quickly and already trying to make the move back on Alex Glass here. So he's pitting. Oh, he's pitting.
That's sad. So we've gone from a 4-way battle for the lead to a 1-way battle with Alex Gal lurking in the distance. Alex didn't get any damage there, so lucky for him in terms of not getting any damage. But what a shame.
Best lap so far, Yannick has a 130.9, Alex 130.2, so it's still not over.
Still not over, but it's Evout, very late defensive move there. Yannick Danish is going to go around the outside again, but he's hit the wall again. but he's going to actually make his around the outside move of turn 4 work. Actually, no, because Eval's going to stick it around the outside of turn 5. They're still side by side into turn 6. Eval's left him more than enough room on the exit now, and it's a drag race up the hill towards turn 7. Alex Gal's getting involved on this action too. What incredible racing at the moment. Yannick Danish is now going to cover Eval across the inside, but Eval's still there.
Oh,
Yannick's locked up. He's round. Eval Van Kruijsen still in the lead.
And this is the pressure getting to them.
What an incredible race.
This is amazing. Keep up the good job. The AM driver, Eval Van Kruijsen, keeping it in the lead. And let me tell you what this is. This is Eval not letting the pressure get to him. As I say that, though, he makes a little deep move there into T11, but still just making the offensive move. And Eval just showing he got the nerves, which the other drivers just don't seem to have.
They really don't seem to have. I tell you who's up to P3. David Glass, we haven't heard from him in the race. He had that atrocious start and was down to last. He's third for some... I mean, that's a real driving, that's a real lesson in just keeping your head down. But Alex Gal is now pressuring Eval again in first as we head down the back straight in towards turn 3. And that was Yannick Danish actually hitting the wall again. He's really not having a good time of it at the moment, but Eval just defends from Alex Gal. What a stunning race so far. You cannot predict what's going to happen next. Is have a look at that yellow and white car. So we're going to have a look at the dazzling livery of the backmarker car. Maybe helping a bit in his defense. We'll never know.
Alex really needs to start thinking. He's not in direct contention with Yannick at the moment.
They're side by side. I think Alex has got this now. He's managed to get the inside line, heading up the hill into P7. Is Eval's defensive maneuvers all in vain? I think they might be. Is he going to try and go around the outside? He will try his hardest, but he goes deep. And Alex Gal takes the lead. Eval, take a bow, my man. You might not have the lead at the moment, but my God, was that some incredible defensive driving. But David Glass is right behind him, his fellow AM driver, but...
And let me tell you, I hope Eval has not put his tires to waste, because he will now have to defend again from David Glass for the win in the AM class. Well, Alex has a very nice cushion, and I think he can start calming himself down now after such a hectic race so far.
And there was a pass on the final lap. We didn't notice that. Alex won it on the final lap of the race.
That's incredible. As Eval, after that stunning drive, my driver of the day, takes the win for AM.
So close to an overall win, but who would have thought that Eval would be Alex Gal's closest competitor? As we see all the drivers now cross the line. So your top 3 are Alex Gal, Eval Van Kruijsen, and David Glass. 2 of the 3 are AM drivers. Take about you 2. And of course, take about Alex Gal for the double, our first double of the season. Very impressive driving, as always, from Alex. Yannick Danish in P4, who will be gutted after his mistakes. Cost him potentially the race victory today. Will Money is in 5th. Jacob Money is in 6th. Stephen Kershaw in 7th. And there's Sean Collins just pulling into the pits. I think we're... there were some donuts there. I thought he'd stopped on track and was having a little bit of a moment to gather his thoughts, but I think there's been some donuts there. So congratulations, Eval, for your AM victory, and congratulations to Alex Gal for the overall win. Right, that was
a stunning race. Let me tell you, while we wait for the results here, let me tell you something I told you before the race, and something I will empathize extra hard for everyone to see. It doesn't necessarily take the biggest amount of drivers. It just takes the right drivers to get a stunning race, as we see Eve out pulling some donuts here.
Very nice donuts there.
And what a race we had. I think we've seen one of the biggest defensive masterclasses so far in this league, at least from what I have seen, by Eve out there, keeping all those pro drivers behind, not letting the nerves get to him, which sadly it seems like we did. And here's the results. Seb, take us through it.
So Alex Gal wins the... This is the wrong race results.
Or the Heat 1 results. Some technical issues, but we'll fix that right up. And
our feature results. So Alex Gal wins the astonishing round 2 here at Detroit by a second from Evat Van Kruijsen, who put on that stunning masterclass. David Glass is in 3rd. Yannick Danish is in 4th after, of course, those mistakes that he'll be kicking himself for, I'm sure. Will Money's in 5th. Jacob Money, his brother, is in 6th. Stephen Kershaw, 7th. Sean Collins rounds out the finishers in 8th. And I think Diogo, Alias, Pritstoff, and Adrian Vanderberg did not complete the race. But a good showing all round. That was a simply stunning race. And the man that I want to talk to the most is the man that's in the broadcast waiting room. Let's have a chat to Eval and hear his thoughts about the incredible race that unfolded before us. So let's bring him in. Eval, what a race. We were glued to the screen. I'm so sorry that you lost it on the final lap, but what are your thoughts about the race?
It was a great race. Fuck. Oh, it was so nice. It's just stupid that I outbreak myself in the last lap, but
we were saying that was quite the defensive masterclass by you. Is there something you've practiced, or is it just something comes naturally?
it's the Dutch way of defending. Don't you watch F1? No, but yeah, it's pretty easy track to defend. It's not easy to overtake here. So, but those guys are fast.
And Ewald, we were talking throughout the race about some nerves because you seem to have some nerves of steel. The pro drivers behind you made a few mistakes. You kept the lead. Was it nerves of steel, or were you really feeling that pressure?
I was feeling the pressure the whole race. In the first race, I outbraked myself 2 times, so it's just focusing on the braking, and defending. But at the end, it worked out. Not the way I wanted with P1, but P2 is good, and P1 in amateur. So
it's a stunning race from you, and just all of the moves that you had to defend from. It was so enjoyable watching you race, and talk me through. I think it was 1 or 2 laps before the end. You went almost 3 wide into turn 7 after the back straight. What were your thoughts going in there? Were you thinking about the AM victory, or did you just want the overall victory, or nothing?
yeah, I was thinking about the overall victory. I was just braking so late and hoping I didn't lock up. But did I do a dirty move on him, or because
No, it was.
Okay.
I think Alias just unfortunately just locked the rears. I think it was all just hard racing by all of you. You were on the edge so many times in terms of, like you were side by side and so close together. It was amazing to watch. That was such an incredible race.
It was my best race ever on iRacing. Thanks for this.
No worries. Thank you very much for racing, and we will see you next time.
Yes, thank you. I will look back the stream.
Yeah, you can hear me talk over Martin a lot.
And Steph, we have a few guys waiting here, so you
Good luck.
can choose. Yeah, thank you. And again, congratulations on your AM race win there, Ewald.
Thank you.
So
should
I think we should probably get the other race winner, Alex Gallen here.
Our 2-time race winner. I think that's perfect.
Perfect.
Good evening, Alex. I seem to make a habit of talking to you after these races. What a stunning performance in both races.
Yeah, and crazy second race as well. I mean, the first one was just about getting a good start and then not crashing. But the second one, there was a lot of fights going on, and like 4-way, 5-way fights to get to the end.
It was stunning to watch. I cannot imagine what it would have been like to drive, but to come out on top of Eva on the final lap is amazing. But it was just so good to see 2 drivers just giving each other just enough room just to make it through. Did you feel like Eval's moves were all fair, or did you feel like he was defending a little bit too aggressively at times?
I think it's fair for the car in front to go where they want, so I don't think there was any unfair driving. I mean, sometimes we saw a bit of like contact and everything, but it's kind of what happens, right? Like like we knew we were fighting with a class driver, so we knew that we have to be a little bit more cautious. and it's so difficult to pass here. Like we had to make very risky moves to try and pass, and didn't even work. So yeah, we kind of have seen everything in that race.
Talking about risky moves, Alex, I have 2 questions for you. First of all, during this race, of course, you had to take some chances. Was the nerves? How were the nerves? And what was the feeling when you finally passed you out on the last lap?
Well, the first cars to pass were fine because I think the drivers that I was passing were more there, like to finish the race more than fighting for position, because they knew, like with the pace difference, they probably knew that anyway I would make everything that I could to pass, and that's also Diogo and everything. That's what they did as well. So I guess it was fine for a lot of drivers, because if you look at it, the drivers that started behind finished in front. Like even all the A class and the P class were like the 3 last positions, the 4 last cars are P class. So it was really about overtaking Ewood. That was the whole problem of this race, really.
Yeah, and the last question there is, what did you have for breakfast to make this drive?
Good question.
No porridge for you.
No, I didn't have really any weird meal. It's more like I have a good setup. I had low downforce, maybe the lowest wing of all cars, so it was a bit easier, I guess. Even though it was a bit bad on throttle, it was fun.
And
So
you mentioned the setup there. Sorry, Seb. You mentioned the setup. We mentioned that during the race because you drive for VRS team with the VRS logo all over the car. Is that the magic for you?
No, it's only a sponsorship. I'm not linked. I mean, the team is sponsored by VRS. I could get the setup from VRS. They don't really help me. Like, for instance, if you look at setups from Chicago and everything, that would be quite similar. They were high wing. I drove with 7 wing, so it's almost like very low. Like the lowest wing is 4, so very low downforce, and it kind of worked out. I'm not sure exactly why, because in a GTE or GT3 it would run max wing there. So I'm not entirely sure how this car works yet, but I'm finding stuff, everything that I can find.
It's really interesting, and I've got a question. So we were talking that you really helpfully shared your setup in the Discord. Were there any sort of like secret tweaks that you left out of that version that you sent the ISRPC chat?
No, I raced with this exact same setup. I just did the same setup, pretty much the same driving. I didn't really find anything special. I mostly shared the lap and the hot lap in the setup because I do it already every week or every race in other servers, like with Chicane and racing and stuff. It's more like they weren't racing this race because not everybody got Detroit in that content. I thought it's probably a good idea to share with everyone if that can make people safer or like get quicker on this difficult track. Of course, if it was a more simple track, maybe I wouldn't do it. But being Detroit, I know the track, I know that it's difficult and that nobody has much time to master it. So I thought, why not?
Well, that's really commendable. So thank you very much for that. And yeah, stunning drive today. We were saying that your first race was clinical. It was insane how much of a gap that you managed to build up. But race 2 was something to behold as well. So big congratulations to you for the I think the first double, at least of this season. I have to check to see if we've had anybody win both races in last season as well. But
to be honest, I'm quite disappointed that I forgot to turn on the crew chief for this race.
You were racing with that? Wow.
I just had to dive in my mirrors all the time.
Wow. At least with race 1, that wasn't necessarily much of an issue. You were lucky with that. But congratulations, that was a stunning drive by you, and we will see you for the next round.
Thanks, guys. See ya.
Thank you very much. Should we have a chat with our P3 driver in the second race and P2 in the first race, and a double podium sitter as well? Should we have a little bit of a chat with David?
It sounds perfect to me.
Good evening, David. How are you?
I'm very happy. actually.
I can imagine so. After that, a stunning drive. Talk us through it.
I don't know. I just drove cleanly. I had a high downforce. I chose that because I thought it was safe, and it worked.
May I ask you, in this second race, the start wasn't very perfect for you. What made you? Did that make you want to come back even more and even bigger hunger after that start, or how did you feel?
First, I was like, "Oh no," but then I saw that everyone was fighting, so I thought, "Oh, maybe I can make it through." And people made mistakes and were, I think, more aggressive than the first race. So that was my chance to get higher up.
And can you tell us, because we saw a few starts today where people lost out on the start. Can you just tell us what happened and what can cost these starts every now and then, just not to be those perfect starts as you want them?
I just released the clutch too fast. That's it. I didn't practice my starts, so that is the reason. It's very easy, actually. Yeah, I don't have two clutches, so yeah.
And it just shows how small things can make so much, huh?
Yeah, because I lost a lot of places directly, and I was hit. I mean, yeah, it felt like I was hit at the start, so maybe I lost some top speed. I hope not, but yeah.
On the other hand, the first race felt a lot better. And what are your takeaways from the first race?
Yeah, I actually think my second race was better because I was more clean in my own driving. I didn't have lockups in the second race. In the first race I had, so yeah, but I had a good start in the first race, and the pros were fighting really hard, and that's why they made mistakes, and I could get up to the second place, but sadly the other guys were way too fast, so yeah, lost the places again.
Yeah, Seb.
Sorry, I'm recovering after that race. Did you think that there was a possibility in for the second race to maybe get up onto the higher points on the podium, considering that they were racing so hard at times? Did you think that you might even be able to win the race?
Yeah, I thought so. The last couple of laps, I thought, oh, maybe. But yeah, the Ewout and Alex were just a little bit too fast, and they didn't hit each other or something. So yeah,
Quite a miracle that they didn't hit each other, but
yeah.
probably not from your end. You were probably sat in the car going, if you could just take each other out, I'd really quite like that. But it was both drives were stunning, and you've collected some really nice a nice amount of points for the overall AM championship. So
yeah, I'm very happy with that because the last two races, I mean, yeah, I was out the first lap, so I was very happy that I got some points and a good race.
Not only did you get some points, but you managed to do it at probably the hardest track, not only of the calendar, but of iRacing itself. So huge congratulations. It was a pleasure watching you out there, and really solid results. And we hope to see you back next week for the next race. I'm just going to find out where it is.
It's Watkins then, but we can talk about that. First, I want to say thank you to David again, and we'll see you there.
Thank you. See you next week.
See you next week indeed. Thank you very much. And congratulations again on your outstanding drive.
Thank you.
So, Seb, next time around, as we said, Watkins Glen Cup version. So it's one of my favorite tracks, actually. I love the characteristics at the Glen.
I think I'm a fan of Watkins Glen too. Not as much as Belle for me, but it makes it easier for us. We stay in the US. Of course, we've travelled to Detroit for this race, so we'll be off on a flight to New York soon. But The cup layout, which will be a bit different from what the drivers are used to driving if they've been driving in the ESS or the sprint race. So interesting to see what happens then. But that will be next week's excitement. But just to ground off a brilliant day of racing here today in Detroit. Stunning drives from pretty much everybody up and down the field. It's a real testament if you can actually make it through the race. And not only have these drivers done that, but they have given us our best race of the season and one of our closest finishes as well. So I am lost for words. What a race.
Yeah, what a race. I chew my seat the whole time. I as well. Thank you to all the drivers and everyone who's been here today. Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you very much, Martin. And thank you for watching at home. And we will see you in a week's time for Watkins Glen.